Hello everyone and welcome back to Total War Rome 2. I've got you a great replay today. This is going to be the Arevaci versus Galatia. And I'm excited. It's a little 1v1 classic vanilla Rome 2 Rome 2 Total War. Sorry, I got to get it straight here. Hey, did you all see the announcement today, by the way, from Creative Assembly? They basically said a couple of words that almost no company ever says, and hopefully they mean it. They said, "We're sorry." And they literally said those words. It wasn't dancing around it or anything else. They said, "We're sorry for all the mess basically that's gone on recently with fans, with Total War Pharaoh, with Total War Warhammer 3. They made some big changes. They're going to add free content to the Shadows of Change DLC that came out for Warhammer 3 for everybody who owns it. They're giving everybody a partial refund for Pharaoh and dropping the price of the game. And then, yeah, that's a big deal. Anyway, you should go read it. I'll try and get a link up to it in the comments or something where you all can go check it out. It was a big deal. Makes me glad to see them taking some real steps towards trying to rebuild the trust with the fan base, so it was pretty exciting. You know what else is exciting? This battle. So let's check it out. The Arevaci are a cool faction. They're kind of a glass cannon. Kind of akin to the Wood Elves in a lot of ways from Warhammer 3, if you're more familiar with that. But they have a lot of high damage. They don't have a lot of armor. They've got decent firepower from range as well. Their cavalry options are going to be light, fast, and hit hard on the charge, but be less effective in prolonged melee. Now, in this case, the Cantabrian cavalry is purely a skirmish cavalry. Very good missile damage, though, so capable cavalry. Up front, we're going to have 3 Balearic slingers. That's a significant skirmishing component, very, very capable. It's guarded by Iberian spears. These are just going to be cheap spears. And then we've got behind those painted warriors. Painted warriors hit like a truck on the charge at 32. So they're going to be very good on the charge, very not survivable afterwards. 45 armor, though, is not the worst for a glass cannon unit, but they're definitely going to do better on the charge and cycle charged if at all possible. There's some Scutari spears guarding each flank. It's a medium spear, a little bit heavier than what we saw in the Iberian spears. And then we're going to have a back line of Scutari. These are a medium melee infantry with high attack. But the medium means they're not insanely survivable, but they're a lot more survivable than the painted warriors. So all in all, pretty light in terms of weight class when it comes to infantry for Rome 2. Now, as far as the cavalry, we have Celt-Iberian cavalry here, which is a very nice medium melee cav. It's going to hit nicely for the price. And then you have a noble cavalry, which is a very powerful spear cavalry indeed. So that is the Arevaci. And if we go take a look at Galatia, Galatia has some of their excellent, I was about to say Galatian raiders. These are not. These are mercenary horse skirmishers. So they're going to have the higher damage, but be less capable in melee. And then as far as the Galatian cavalry, we have a mercenary Cappadocian, 2 of those. We're going to have Galatian legionaries here. These are a heavy infantry, hard hitting on the charge, and pretty darn good afterwards. And then they're going to be some naked swords, which are far more glass cannon than the painted ones. In terms of armor, you'll see it's only 10 versus I think it was like 40 or 45 for the other ones. They do have a little bit better melee defense as a result, but these guys go down easy, but they do hit very good on a charge. And then we've got Galatian swords here, a nice light sword, gonna do kind of a nice mixture of damage on the charge, decentish afterwards, not very survivable. Then we've got Celtic slingers, so 3 of those up front, guarded by none other than the MLG Levy Morgan Freeman, which of course the best units in the game. Rest in pieces, Maximus, we miss you. In any case, yeah, these 3 slingers are not going to fare well against Balearic slingers. The Galatians have better overall power in a melee, and there probably are more Galatian legionaries in the trees there, if I had to take a guess. No, in fact, there's a general missing from the picture, which is either going to be a noble cavalry or possibly a noble spear. I'm not sure exactly what we'll see there for the Galatian general, so let's just wait and see. The Levy Freeman here doing a little bit of support. The horse skirmishers also getting some support from the mercenary Cappadocians, pushing the Cantabrian cavalry back. It's a way to push them out. The Galatians are certainly in no hurry to get in here and get engaged with the Balearic slingers. And can you blame them? I don't blame them. I mean, Balearic slingers are going to rock those guys' world, with the pun intended. Because yes, it will be rocks. They act like they're firing here too. Something must be just in the edge of their range. Some kind of glitch or something. Yeah, something may have stepped in just the edge of their firing arc. Oh, it was probably over here. Yeah, so see, like, A horseman may have gone down to it too. It looks like they stepped on the edge of that firing arc for the Balearic slingers. Yeah, they actually pitched a couple of rocks out here. Missed their mark, but that's probably what it was that was making them start to whip the sling around. Horse skirmishers. The Cantabrians have taken a few losses here. The horse skirmishers have as well, but not quite as many as the Cantabrians. So far, Galatia kind of getting the better of this horse skirmish out here. And then the Levy Freeman versus the Scutari Spearmen. Scutari Spearmen are going to be better in a prolonged combat. Oh, and they get a javelin toss there too. Now in a way, that's good that the Levy Freeman eats the javelin toss versus the cavalry. But that also means that the Levy Freemen are likely to lose even worse to the Scutari Spears. Cantabrian cavalry are having a hard time here, though, with the mercenary horse skirmishers, and that Cappadocian cavalry is near. Oh, okay, so he pulls away, counter cavalry tactics, pitches the javelins, does some damage to the mercenary Cappadocians. The Celtiberians are following that up with a frenzied charge. And they had that frenzied charge when they connected, which gave them a full 42 charge bonus. But that is a much lighter cavalry unit than the mercenary Cappadocians in terms of armor. Well, I say that. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I thought I saw the 70 on both of them, and I was like, what? Yeah, so it's significantly less armor on the Celtiberian cavalry. It got a very nice charge. It's got spear support, but the Levy Freemen are following that up too, and the Scutari... Oh, yeah, that was a nice call right there. That flaming javelin routed the Scutari spears. There goes the support for the Celtiberians, and that survivability of the mercenary Cappadocians is probably going to come into play. Now, look at that. More flaming javelins playing against the leadership of the Arevaci. The Arevaci swinging in another Celtiberian cav to put a charge into that Levy Freeman. It's not going to kill it, though. And it can't get in here to support because of that Levy Freeman being in the way, so the value of Levy Freeman not to be underestimated here. That Cantabrian cav has been trying to make up a little damage. It has gotten some done, but continues to take damage itself. This is a very prolonged horse skirmish out here, and the Galatians are just flat out going to get the better of it here. They got the Scutari Spearmen, they're going to get the Celtiberian cav, and they will have killed more skirmish cavalry. Now, this doesn't bode well for the Arevaci in terms of protecting their Balearic slingers, but they still do have cavalry left and will be able to provide some protection. But the Arevaci may have to open this battle up by trying to go for a skirmish difference. I think they were hoping to bring the Galatians to them, because then they get first shots with the unit that has superior, superior fire rate, damage. And then it would also pull these units out away from the scrub, which may give them a little bit of cover. Looks like we've got a Painted Warrior coming out here to support. Painted Warrior could do some good damage into cavalry on the charge, but if it gets charged, it is not going to end well for the Painted Warriors. Just about any cavalry is going to inflict a good amount of damage. Yeah, 45 armor. That mercenary horse skirmisher trying to draw in the charges here. It's doing a very nice job. I'm going to fast forward here for a second and see if any players take any steps or if anything else happens. Oh, that horse skirmisher is going to get caught here. That's going to be a boon for the Arevaci. It will keep these units still for a minute, so that's a nice charge right there to say, hey, I'm not going to just let you sit here and throw javelins into that fight. That was a good call by the Cantabrian cavalry, but then there's a counter by the Levy Freeman. So a lot of play and counterplay here. If this is your kind of thing, then feasibly you are enjoying this battle a great deal. I know I am. This is a lot of nice play, counterplay type of stuff going on out here. Ooh, that Painted Warrior would have definitely trucked Levy Freeman. The Levy Freeman may have been hoping to get a jab volley off or just to help decrease the painted ones a little, but that was a nice tag there by the Cantabrian cavalry from behind. So the Arevaci kind of evened that out a little bit there. Not entirely, but they certainly got a little bit of revenge, and we will see what comes of it now. So the players kind of back into a standoff, but the Arevaci are going to make the move and come into slinger range. They did get shot first, but the Balearic slingers immediately popped that quick reload, and the next unit's going to do it. And it looks like there is going to be concentrated fire onto the middle slinger. Already 4 losses over there. So the higher damage here of the Balearic Slinger is making itself apparent immediately. The Galatians are pushing forward their infantry, and let's see what else becomes visible here in the middle. So there's 4 naked swords. I can see the 2 Galatian legionaries. I'm kind of expecting to see another Galatian legionary, a noble horse. So both players have a powerful horse unit left and a medium horse, as well as a little bit of skirmish cavalry. Here comes the Iberian spearmen to keep the slingers safe. Ideally, the slingers need to keep firing to do their best, but you also don't want to get caught up in a javelin volley like that. That hurts for the Balearic slingers. But it looks like the Arevaci are going to be able to counter that, though this slinger unit here took some pretty nasty damage as a result. But the Celtic slingers were certainly not taking the better of that engagement. But let's see what happens in the melee engagement. The naked swords crushing the Iberian spears along with the Galatian swords, not a surprise. And here comes a second row of painted warriors now that the Scutari spears and the, well, I think it was Celt-Iberian spears or whatever they were, had taken the initial charge. Naked swords, painted warriors charging each other. That is a heavy charge fight there. Long-term survivability would go to the painted warriors. Both units have frenzy. Here's a frenzied charge into the Galatian legionaries by a painted warrior. Good opportunity for the painted warrior to get some decent value before it starts losing that fight. Scutari now being brought forward. They may be coming in to try and relieve this fight, because the Scutari are not going to want to be countercharged by the Galatians, but will do pretty good if given a free opportunity to enter the fight without being charged. So let's see what happens here. The Galatians are charging in more units as well as their naked swords start to collapse. They're going to pull some of those back and feasibly go for a cycle charge. This Scutari might have a outflanking opportunity here. I was thinking they might pitch some javelins into that Galatian legionary. There is a cavalry threatening them though, so they were bracing, but now they're going to pull loose and chuck the javelins there. Well done. Well, that cavalry was sitting still. That was some nice play. The noble cavalry here is defending against the mercenary Cappadocian and the horse skirmishers, and the Galatian noble horse now making its way over here. The Balearic slingers continue to fire, and they look like they're targeting infantry rather than the enemy slingers. The Celtic slingers, on the other hand, appear to be targeting the Balearic slingers. The Balearic slingers are now targeting the noble horse. Not a bad call. They can get some shots in there. It may be decisive, and it is a good call to ignore these slingers because now there is cavalry mowing down the right flank of the Galatians. It could be protected by those levy freemen. They're just a little slow here on the pickup. These Galatian legionaries, though, not quick to be written off in combat. They are quite tough. This one here you can see stabilized and is doing quite well, so the melee is certainly not over for the Galatians at this point. That noble horse was starting to take some pretty good damage, the slingers, so I can understand them wanting to pull back. But the Balearic slingers are also taking a lot of damage from these Celtic slingers, and the cavalry decided, instead of going for the slingers, to rear charge, and then that levy freeman does chase them now. Feasibly, that cavalry might be able to retreat through its own lines there. I don't know if it'll survive, though. And then, ooh, look at this nice play. The noble horse sneaks back in, gets into the Balearic slingers, does a very nice job of tying them down and killing them. This is a close battle, folks. There's a lot of back and forth going on in this battle. For almost every time I see one of these players make a good move, the other player turns around and hands it back to each other. So this is a tight battle here. I feel like Galatia is gaining an upper hand, though, where I'm starting to see a lot of Galatian legionaries left with a limited Scutari to take them down. There's also limited noble cavalry. It's a close call here. There's a few Balearic slingers alive on the other side. Look at this Scutari making its way back to this fight. There's another Scutari over here who's beleaguered in this fight. Definitely needs help. Oh, the Cappadocian cavalry now eating the slinger fire. The Galatian noble cavalry must have been killed in that attempt on the slingers, and it didn't get all of the slingers. That may prove decisive. Yeah, the power bar is swinging back towards the Arevaci here, and as I mentioned a moment ago, as one player kind of gains the upper hand, it seems like the other one turns around and hands it right back to him. That Cappadocian cavalry trying to get that Scutari to run away and give up the fight. This is close, folks. This is real close. Oh, that Cantabrian Cav clutching it back here, getting rid of the rest of those slingers. The leadership looking poor for Galatia at the moment. This could still swing either way, depending on a few factors. The fact that the noble cavalry is still here, though, and so are the slingers, I feel like the Arevaci are going to close this one out after what was an amazing back-and-forth epic fight. Oof, man, those Galatian legionaries are just not wanting to go. Tough units. Here comes a rear charge by the noble cavalry. Let's see if that's enough to get rid of that Galatian legionary. Not quite. Not quite. So the noble cavalry still bouncing around in here. The Celtic slingers came back. The Balearic slingers still doing some work here. They are firing into the flank of that Galatian legionary. And there is over 100 Scutari left here. Looks like the noble cavalry are going to be used to go ahead and down these Celtic slingers once and for all. That's probably a good call, because power bar-wise, the slingers being alive and having ammo probably having a big impact on the power bar. Meanwhile, the Balearic slingers did rout that Galatian legionary, and now it is well and truly over for Galatia. But holy crap, what a fight, folks. What a fight by both players. Well done. This was a great Rome 2 battle, and really, I think, showcases some of the play styles that were so common to Rome 2, meaning a lot of charge, counter-charge, cat and mouse, who's going to move first, how's the other player going to make the other one move first, dodging javelins, you know, like all this stuff that we see. And then, you know, where am I going to target my slingers? Do I shoot at their slingers? Do I switch to infantry? Do I target their general? So again, a lot of really nice play here, decision-making on both sides. So a great game by Hotel Soap and Number here. Now, Number is one that I've played with before, as well as Hotel Soap. Both of these are excellent players, so appreciate seeing them here. This was a good one, man. Those Galatian legionaries, they were in some tough positions, and they still did well. They still did very well indeed. The noble cavalry for the Arevaci ends up doing a little better than the noble horse from Galatia. I think it ended up in a tough spot as those slingers shot it, and then I think when it came back, it may have gotten pounced on by more cavalry and even some spears while it was in there. You can see the naked warriors and the painted ones all fairly similar, right? They get in that charge, they get a lot of damage done. They don't last long after that. The Scutari was a nice combination here. By itself, Scutari can't really mainline. But after the mainline gets softened by the painted warriors, and then the Scutari gets brought in a slightly more favorable position without having to take that mainline charge, they did quite well. So it was an interesting combination by the Arevaci. And the proper way to use it, because again, if the Scutari would have just gone in mainlining, they would have gotten crushed in that attempt. But in any case, good game to both players. Hope you all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.